I want to talk about something that can be a little touchy, and I want to talk about it with sensitivity and compassion for ourselves, for each other. The topic is how much our belief system and attitude has on what happens to us in life. I want to talk about how this manifests when you have whatever your belief is on how people will treat you has such a huge impact on that reality. In my dad's case, he was always angry, and he had a way of making other people angry. Everywhere he went, he was annoying people, and he was a tall man. He was 6'6", 220 pounds, and he just was intimidating and not very kind. And that had what impact? Even when we went to a restaurant, people were afraid of him, and they weren't nice. And when you're afraid of somebody, then you don't give them the warmest reception, right? I saw both my parents, through no intentions of their own, alienate people. And I saw them have pretty much very unhappy lives in the end. And I made a note that I wanted to do things differently. I've done a lot of professional and personal development training and have enjoyed it. What started out as a great way to help me do better in sales in the late 80s turned into this is just self-life improvement that works kind of across all the categories. I share. Take what you want, leave the rest. I'll be curious to see what you guys think about what I'm about to share. All right. We are not aware that we make micro decisions in our brains about how we respond. Not only how we respond emotionally, but physically, what our face is doing, what our body is doing. And I'm thinking about the percentage of communication that's nonverbal between humans. It is something like 60%. Don't quote me there. It's a big percent. It isn't just the words that we say. It is how we perceive others, how we perceive ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. I'll give you an example of how body language can change how people respond to you. All right, so imagine I am in an interview with 5 people around a table, and they're talking about their vision for this company and the challenges that they have and how they perceive that those challenges can be overcome with good marketing. I was interviewing for a marketing director job. I chimed in, I leaned forward to be actively engaged and to share my wisdom and observations with them. And as I was talking, this went on for a few minutes, and as I was talking, I noticed that they were pulling back. They were engaging less, and I was losing them. I could see that I was losing them, and I really wanted this job. What I did was I thought they don't want me to talk and engage. Here's what I did. I leaned back, I put my arm over a chair, and I made myself open, very, very open. I leaned back and I stopped talking. Do you know what happened? I got the job. And as you can imagine, once I got the job, they didn't want me to talk also in the job. That continued, and it wasn't a great job because in the end, they didn't want my feedback. They didn't want my expertise. That didn't end up being a great job for me, but it was a building block to get me to the next job. It ended up being a good springboard and an interesting lesson to learn. If that's how they interview you, that's how they're going to be in the real world. All I did was change how I interacted with them. I changed my body language, and I stopped talking, and I let them do the talking. And that environment was what I challenge you to think of a time when you noticed, maybe you've never had this experience, but can you think of a time where you've noticed someone, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's yourself, who had an expectation of how people would treat them, a preconceived expectation, a preconceived idea of how people were going to treat them, and then you saw that play out? Can you think of a time like that?